As a 19-year-old, Jayson Tatum exploded onto the scene, becoming only the 5th rookie in the three-point era to lead his team in playoff scoring while winning a series. Such Hall of Fame company evoked comparisons to another teenage sensation, Kobe Bryant. But year 2 has been characterized by disappointment, by growing pains. The raw skill is still on display, but questionable shot selection and decision-making have muted his impact. Let's start with his driving frequency. Here's Tatum in last year's playoffs. He powers all the way to the rim. In the postseason, 2/3 of his shots either came at the rim or from the three-point line, and he took a free throw every 2.7 shot attempts. But when this year kicked off, he settled for long jumpers instead. Why not attack this space here? His free throw rate halved, and now he's taking a paltry 1 free throw for every 5 or so shots. Too often he stops prematurely, like here, where he could attack the baseline but turns it into an inefficient long 2. Or on this play, where instead of pressing the advantage in transition, he meanders into a dance session with a slower-footed big man. Last spring, Tatum was initiating contact, taking it to bigs. Notice the extra dribble move from the top of the key to below the foul line, which sets the trap. Fast forward to this year, where Tatum pulls up from deep instead of moving into that same soft spot in the defense. I'm no doctor, but Tatum's developed a case of Kobe-itis. Because he can make difficult long 2s, he takes difficult long 2s. But the thing is, there's still difficult 2s and low efficiency. These kinds of challenging shots are most valuable when bailing out broken possessions, and Boston's far better when they're reserved for these moments, which has actually started to happen lately. After that rocky start, Tatum's dialing back these long 2s, and his shot profile is comparable to last year's playoffs. Whether we look at the percentage of shots that are 3s or layups, the average distance of his 2-point attempts, or his frequency of long-range jumpers, where he's shooting a Durant-like 47% since that bumpy start. The story here is still that Tatum's quietly been cleaning up his shot selection in the last 2 months. And let's not forget, he's an excellent three-point shooter, hitting over 40% of his attempts as a pro, able to spray triples from all over the court, both in catch-and-shoot situations and off the dribble. Despite lacking great speed, he's also a crafty cutter, constantly juking people out of the picture en route to easy buckets. And he finishes fairly well at the rim, at least when there isn't a clear deterrent. He's visibly improved his play over the last months, and the results show. Not only are his offensive impact metrics up since those opening games, but the team is benefiting as well. Boston's been dominant as of late, particularly on offense. You can see here they were solid to start the season with Tatum, but their offensive rating petered along at 106. In the last 30 games, the offense has come to life. Boston has a 115 offensive rating with Tatum during that stretch, and the top-end lineups, with Tatum and Kyrie Irving on the floor, are smoking, crushing teams by 14 points per 100, with an offense near the elite 120 mark. Despite positive strides lately, there's still his reluctance to blitz the basket. He has the tools to press into defenders and draw fouls, but his free throw rate is still woefully low. And this is preventing him from playing like an all-star right now. Here's a list of perimeter scorers who weren't great passers, like Tatum. For him to crack the upper echelon of offensive players, he needs to earn more trips to the charity stripe, where he's nearly automatic at 86%. Many players have a clear history of such growth, including Kawhi Leonard, who was exactly where Tatum is now back in 2014, and today he's a free throw machine. Besides foul drawing, Tatum's other clear area to improve upon is that passing game. His vision is fairly poor. We saw Alonzo Ball make this pass in the last video, and a layup here is better than an open 3. This play depends on how the defense handles the screen, and right now, it's clear the lob will be open. But Tatum double clutches to throw it, and the execution isn't ideal. Here's another one. The handoff leads to a back pick, and the back door is there. But the pass is far too late, and the window closes. There's also his passing out of isolation. His eyes aren't always up, and so he can't anticipate passes. Instead, he waits until he's walled off here, and only then moves the ball to the open spot. He's created a shot, yes, but it's not ideal. Here's a more egregious example of this head-down dribbling. I don't think he has poor spatial awareness. He knows he missed a layup here as he fumbled the ball. He just hasn't learned to operate his scoring and passing programs in parallel. There are some signs of improvement, though. In pick-and-roll action, he can't really make this pocket pass when it's tight, but he'll connect on an easier one when the window for delivery is large. He's getting comfortable making this lob pass now. There's that extra dribble opening up opportunities instead of settling for a jumper. And there are flashes of better fluid passing. Notice how simply moving the ball into the cracks of the defense unlocks this entire possession. Speaking of defense, Tatum's already a strong positive there, quietly using length and positioning to disrupt a number of plays. That wingspan gives him a large radius to attack. His deflection and steal rates are above average. But he really uses that length to disrupt shooters, contesting well in man and closeout situations. He loves to lean into opponents like this, using his broad shoulders to invade their space, and it's often quite effective. A 7-foot wingspan allows him to both cover his weaknesses and be downright annoying at times. He's not flashy, but he's particularly adept at being in the right position. He's always early in this weak side pick and roll help. Some of that is a credit to Brad Stevens' scheme. But even when hugged to a shooter, he reads the play early enough to erase a bucket against most teams. Here he hugs the lane, ready to pounce if needed. And there's that length. Again, not flashy, but it mucks up the entire possession around the hoop. And he's long enough to sky for big rebounds too, another major asset, as Tatum sits in the 86th percentile among non-big men in defensive rebounding rate. Most defensive impact numbers like him a lot too. He's 23rd in defensive RPM among non-big men, and 8th in defensive PIPM, which adjusts for luck. But I believe Brad Stevens' coaching maxes out his value in these kinds of impact metrics, such as coaching up those picture-perfect rotations for all weak side help. Tatum's length and discipline are valuable here, and even Box Plus Minus views him as a strong defender in his first 2 years. But he does lack high-end defensive talent. His footwork can be sloppy at times, throwing him off balance against drivers or quicker players. His closeouts aren't always crisp, or even in line with the scouting report. No need to jump on a Giannis 3. And he's not completely free of defensive lapses either. Overall, the major metrics currently disagree on Tatum. PIPM is the only one that views him as an all-star. And remember, he's trending up in all of these stats since the first month of the season. I do think PIPM gives him too much credit. It doesn't account for Brad Stevens, for instance. And I see him closer to the 50th best player than the 25th. Given his physical attributes, and now that we've seen him more, his ceiling is looking more like Paul Pierce than, say, Kobe Bryant. His vision will almost certainly continue to grow, and he'd be an all-star today if he attacked the rim harder. But for now, I still slot Jayson Tatum as a sub-all-star player. I want to give a very special thanks to all of my new subscribers and new viewers lately. I see you guys. The support and the feedback is absolutely overwhelming and incredible. Even if I don't respond to the comments, I hear what you're saying. And the more you guys like and subscribe and comment and all that stuff, the more of these videos I'm going to make. Up on the screen is a place you can find my other work. You can support me at my Patreon. The link is there. I also wrote an article last year on where Jayson Tatum will likely end up as a passer based on historical comparisons. A link to that is available below in the description box. Otherwise, again, thank you so much for watching and the incredible support, and I hope you guys are having an incredible day.
Jayson Tatum, here he comes! This kid is good. This kid is absolutely ready for prime time.